Hello and welcome to another episode of a casual film discussion. There's going to be spoilers in this review, so be warned. This week, what have we watched, guys?
We watched Defy Blood by Spike Lee.
The film is basically about a group of Vietnam War veterans that return to Vietnam a few decades later to recover a treasure that they had buried when they were in the war.
Yeah, American Gold, isn't it?
American gold that they've gone to dig up, and a sort of subplot of that is they're also going to find their ex-squad leader who was killed in action, and to find his body and kind of bring him back home as well. The amount of black history and just sort of the amount of history in general that's been woven into the film, and I think as someone that doesn't know much about the subject, it is very informing, and I did learn quite a lot about the history and the things that people went through and the things that people are going through, and I think they did quite a good job at portraying that.
I think it tried to do way too much. I think at parts it was like, as you said, I think it even tried a bit too hard to look like a documentary in some points, like even with certain camera movements and like techniques, like made it feel way too much like it was trying to be a documentary. But then it also tried to balance like being a buddy film, like a road trip film, an adventure film, a Vietnam film. I think it tried to do way too much and maybe wasn't able to balance as many plates as it thought it could.
During their sort of travels, he had his little camcorder and like recording what they were doing. It also felt like documentary style. It was sort of like guerrilla underground like documentary. It was just like he was filming them doing their thing, and it like intercut with the film. And it just felt like again, it was like that friend sort of like road trip sort of vibe to it, which I quite enjoyed.
It's set in like the modern day, isn't it? When they're old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why the hell is one of the guys shooting on a Super 8 camera? I don't know why, but it annoys me.
Isaac, I don't think the majority of the general public are going to realise that that's a Super 8 camera. I don't even know what that means, Isaac. So I doubt that everyone else will know.
I think
It's like an old
yeah.
film
I think
camera.
it kind of makes sense, Isaac. They're like old guys. I think it would make less sense if he pulled out like a 4K red camera and he was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sweet.
It's just like, yeah, just doing some vlogging for my...
Well, I was thinking like a digital, I don't know, like a Canon camera or a Nikon. I mean, like, you know...
He's just got like a digital compact camera that he's just like...
Yeah. So you know when it goes to them in the battle and it goes to the 3:4 aspect ratio?
Yeah.
Well, to make it look more authentic, they also added film grain.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed that, but when it goes to the battle, it's a bit more grainy, like it looks like it's shot on film. So it's a lot more saturated, a lot more contrast. And they put in film grain. With the Super 8 camera, it almost just felt like an excuse to have film grain or to have that sort of authentic film look to it.
There was a lot of moments in this film where happy little coincidences happen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, would that realistically happen? I've got like a big list here. David steps on the landmine, and within like 5 seconds, a bomb defusal team show up. And it's just like, really? Also, when David goes to like go to the bathroom, and he's just like, I'll dig a hole. Gold!
And he stumbles across one of the gold bars. The chance of that,
The best parts of the film, in my opinion, were the parts where it was like them in Vietnam. I was like, oh, this seems like a film that I would rather watch. Like this actual journey of them during this time, coming to terms with Martin Luther King's assassination, and that story seems so much more interesting than this like weird kind of like really gorish but also Spielberg adventure film.
Yeah.
It did feel like it was like, oh, come on Goonies, let's go find this treasure.
One thing that throughout the film, like continuously, just really annoyed me was they kept on using grandiose music like throughout the entire film to make it, and it just almost felt like someone was like hitting me on the back of the head saying, "Whoa, this is a really like, whoa, look at this scene, like, whoa, listen to the music, whoa." It's like, okay, I get it.
Like Paul's pretty much the only guy that is like sort of focused on and is developed. Like the other three are just sort of there.
Yeah.
It felt like, especially Eddie and
especially Eddie,
Melvin.
yeah.
Is it Eddie and Melvin? Yeah.
Melvin? Is it Melvin?
Exactly. I don't even know his name. That's how little he was developed. But I feel like they could have done more. Like I said, I enjoyed when they were just sort of getting together. It's like old friends seeing each other again. It was like, that felt nice. It was heartwarming. But then after like the first two scenes, it was like, okay, let's just get rid of these two characters. Let's never really explore them. How they characterised Storm and Norman. I remember a scene in particular when Norman's talking to the group and they're in the jungle. It's like they've got like this very low camera angle on him and he just like looks so dominating. And then there's like the bit where he's like literally like sat on a throne and it's just like, okay. But it's like, that's not so subtle. But like when you said when Paul sort of like sees him in the forest, you get them like blinding lights that are like behind him and it's just like, you just feel very like ethereal and like godly. Like
an angel or something.
Yeah. So I do like how they sort of presented him there. But he was, like I said, although he's not in it much, he feels like one of the stronger characters.
I just thought he played, even though he wasn't in it much, I thought he did do a really good like portrayal of the character. You know, he did seem like the one who, you know, who kept these guys all together, and even in death he did as well, as much as he could.
Well, I messaged you guys as I was watching it. Like the first hour, you just spend it. They haven't even set off on their journey yet, really. The first hour feels like it could have been compressed. It was fast, but it didn't have a momentum of like, oh, I'm progressing through this story. It just felt like, oh, there's a lot of things happening. Doesn't seem to be much happening in terms of story, though.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, but it's not adding to the plot.
Yeah. The squadron that like disables the mines. I feel like they should have appeared in a better way than just like, it's almost like watching a play and like someone just walks onto the stage and you're like, oh, I guess they're here now.
Like now that you bring it up, if you think about it, the bomb team didn't even help. It was all Paul's idea with like the rope and pulling him off. So they might as well have never even been there at all.
Yeah.
It's like, unless the whole point of it was to be like, oh, these guys come along and Paul can tie him up to show that he's Angie.
Yeah.
But like I said, like it didn't feel like they needed to be there at all. Apart from to add a love interest to bloody, what's his name, David.
They did have the moments of like almost addressing the audience, saying like, look at this black figure from history that we don't really know about, and why aren't they getting any? Like it did that like 2 times really close to each other, and then for like 30 minutes didn't do anything. And it was like, oh no,
they could have done it more.
Yeah, I was like, that's a great part. Like I'm finding that really interesting. It's not subtle, but it's not trying to be subtle. It's trying to show it in your face and be like, this is happening. David stands up at the table. He basically says like, as a member of the black community of America, I disavow Donald Trump. I do not stand for anything he says. And the scene's literally like try to tell you where Spike Lee stands.
I am a big fan of like show don't tell, and I think directly addressing the camera is like a very big telling rather than showing. But like I said, because of the current events and what's going on in today's climate, I think it needs to be in your face. Like I think you can't do this subtly. You need to be like, look at this, come on.
It needs to be addressed how it is. You can't you can't try and like hide the truth and like, you know, present it in fragments. You need to present it how it is. I agree with you. That is, you know, I think that's clever. Very clever, in fact.
Do we want to give our final overviews?
Yeah, Lewis, you can go first. We'll leave on a high.
Too long, tries to juggle too many things. But you'll probably enjoy it because it's got a nice heartwarming centre and a good moral message through the middle of it.
It's like a Ben & Jerry's ice cream with like a nice chocolatey core. How's it go?
Okay.
I meant get up and leave.
Okay. Bye guys. Bye. I really enjoyed this film in terms of like it didn't feel out of place with other Spike Lee films. He uses stock footage. He uses like very authentic style of filming. I really enjoyed the cinematography. It could have had better pacing, but I thought it was fairly well written. The way the characters spoke, felt authentic. This film is just very relevant for the time that we are in, and I think that, it really fits into Spike Lee's, categories and his archive of films.
I very much like this film. Like I said at the start, I think it's very educational, especially for someone like me that doesn't know much about war or Black history. I think it informed me a lot about historical figures and history in general. Things that I should know that I don't think I've been taught. So I was very interested and very thankful that it sort of showed me those things. Again, some things felt a bit convenient and didn't really make sense to me. Other than that, I did enjoy the film. Like I said, it is a bit long. 2.5 hours is a long time to sit down. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was alright. So thank you for listening to our little discussion today. If you liked it, give us a like. If you have any suggestions for other films that we can watch, let us know in the comments. Apart from that, have a good day, and we shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Please subscribe.
Bye.
Isaac, I'm cutting that out. We're not begging for subscribers. How dare you?
Hit the notification bell.
Smash that like button. Ding the bell.